This is it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. The time when all that hard work training in the Stormtrooper, Starfighter and Naval Academy will finally pay off. This is your first deployment into all-out warfare. The rebels are on our doorstep, threatening to undo everything the Empire has built, and you can bet that they'll stop at nothing to see the Emperor dead. Active warfare is anything but easy, and you, as the frontline forces of the Empire, have to be ready to face anything, and I mean anything. You see, this war is not like the Clone Wars. These are not droids, these are rebels. If there's one thing the rebels are, it's crafty. And that leads me on to my first point, knowing who and what you're up against. You may think you know the rebels, but the truth is, you really don't. The rebels are an opposing force of many individuals whom have decided to band together to re-establish the now defunct Galactic Republic. To do this, the rebels have teamed with the Mon Calamari and many alien races who look to oppose the Empire. The rebels have somehow graciously received the majority of their fleet and capital ships from the Mon Calamari, building them a very formidable force of cruisers, battleships and frigates that can rival the Empire's ships in size and both power. Their Starfighter Corps is significantly more formidable, having fighters that boast shields, versatile weaponry, and of course, built-in life support. What? It's not my fault our TIE fighters are the way they are. Blame Tarkin, not me. The Rebellion's army and ground force fulfills the most arduous role within their entire armada, taking the Empire's technological might head-on, which in some cases has been incredibly difficult for them due to their lack of any technological prowess. As such, the rebel armies have conceived of some pretty unconventional warfare tactics to deal with trying to weaken the Empire, rather than having to deal with our walkers and ships head-on. The rebel army is in possession of some fairly basic military equipment from your standard E11s and so on, to some fairly small scout walkers that they use if they need some muscle. But apart from that, the rebel army mostly gets around on foot, preferring to stick to the shadows and take the Empire on from where we least expect it, aka guerrilla warfare. For a basic overview of the rebels, that about does it. But of course, in a battlefield, you don't have time to consider these things, so you need to be able to think and react accordingly to the rapidly changing dynamics of a battlefield, and this goes to all three main military corps within the Empire. So you may think that being on a Star Destroyer is safe, right? Nope. While the Navy tends to offer the most safety out of all of the corps, in warfare environments, you're still subject to great risk. As a member of a naval Star Destroyer or starship, it's vital that you keep your vessel intact. This means knowing the basics, following orders, working with other crew members, communication, knowing your way around your vessel and conducting your assigned role to the letter. Battles involving the Navy are chaotic and unpredictable, with ships tearing each other apart with a terrifying barrage of cannon fire. Being in the Navy means you have to have your wits about you. Gunners should prioritise aiming and taking out rebel starfighters before capital ships, as well-coordinated squadrons can cripple destroyers, and that's without the help of cruisers and capital ships. Captains should ensure that their vessel is in tip-top shape and is battle-worthy. Higher-ranking admiralty should ensure that the fleets they oversee maintain formation, as fleets are stronger in numbers and can easily smash into enemy formations. The quicker their ships come apart, the better. So understand the playing field and adjust your fleet's positioning, loadout, and angle of attack accordingly, in order to ensure a better chance of survival and success for you, the crew, and the vessel itself, as High Command really doesn't appreciate losing their very expensive Star Destroyers. Of course, what use is a naval vessel without equipment and good crew morale, so you need to ensure that those actually running your ships will continue to do so, should a stressful situation arise. Things like downtime, continual checkups and inspections, respect of their superiors and access to information are just some of the things that will keep a crew well oiled and in the loop of how a vessel is performing, which will encourage them to keep the vessel afloat during warfare. Don't think that the Navy is only responsible for attacking and defending within battle scenarios, no. Their biggest role is being the backbone for pretty much the entire Imperial Armada. So ensuring that starfighter squadrons, military vehicles and stormtrooper platoons are capable of being deployed is absolutely crucial to ensure that a battle goes ahead in the first place, and not a massacre. Speaking of which... Unfortunately for you pilots, you guys by far occupy the most dangerous role within the entire Imperial Armada. Subject to the whims of space, TIE fighter pilots are tasked with conducting dogfights and making sure that enemy squadrons don't destroy your allied fleets of capital ships. Starfighter combat can vary wildly depending on the conditions of a battle. Going on the offensive requires that enemy capital ships are completely annihilated in order to seize an objective or goal that would benefit the Empire in some way. Going on the defensive mandates that a target, fleet, or structure critical to Imperial infrastructure be protected from rebel attacks. No matter what, teamwork is an extremely crucial aspect to TIE fighter squadrons. Your survival in battle pretty much depends on whether or not you can stick together, pick off enemy starfighters, and keep them off your squadron member's tail. So having even a slight awareness of the surroundings of your starfighter can make all the difference between life and death. Of course, you should know the ins and outs of your starfighter, meaning you should understand the systems that control it. You should absolutely know how to effectively use the weaponry, and also how to pick up and detect enemy targets and objectives. If you don't, well, what are you doing here? Those are the basics. Go learn that stuff. It's important. The priority in starfighter combat is not getting hit, which seems like a no-brainer, but war zones in space can be extremely chaotic, with many things going on all at once, and you need to have the awareness to make sure that it isn't a stray bow or piece of debris that takes you out. And while the TIE series doesn't offer much in the way of good peripheral, that's why staying as a squadron is vital. Knowing what the conditions of your fellow squadron members are is a must, as you should be able to come to their aid if need be, know what ships the enemy squadrons have, notify if you need a repair, recognise who had been taken out, and to be able to collectively follow orders, which harkens back to teamwork and the ability to defend and support each other in these scenarios. Last but not least, we have Ground Zero. The Imperial armies that slug it out on the harsh battlefields of different planetary-based battlefields all across the galaxy. As a member of the Stormtrooper Corps, you should know and understand the risk of being in this field, as you are quite literally staring down the barrel of the rebels' ferocity and willingness to put up a fight. The rebels make heavy use of guerrilla warfare, which involves using hit-and-run tactics, particularly in small squads of armed combatants. They typically keep moving and never hit Imperial forces from the same angle, utilising the geographical elements of different planets' surfaces and good faith with the locals to keep us on our toes, and unfortunately, it works. Since rebel attacks are difficult to predict, it's vital to always be ready in case one does, no matter where you are posted. This means having your weapons close by and at the ready, that your armour is in good condition and ready for battle, and that your squad, platoon or legion mates are with you at all times, being ready to defend critical Imperial assets, bases or personnel. If you find yourself on the offensive, you will be taken to your assigned battlefield by the Navy and deployed either straight onto the battlefield or nearby, but not before being briefed on your objective. Of course, that's before the battle. The real chaos begins in the heat of the action, and like members of the Starfighter Corps, the aim is not getting hit. On the battlefield, it can get extremely chaotic and stressful very quickly, so it is again vital that the chain of command between higher ranking officials and the troopers is preserved, as that ensures that orders can and should be followed to the letter in order to lead to a desirable outcome for the battle overall. So keeping the flow of information on positioning, enemy composition, Any taken sectors or territories and casualties should be made known, as the more information a legion knows, the better chance the Empire has at winning. Walkers and heavy assault battle platforms should also be protected at all cost, as they are the hard hitters that can provide support for troopers on the ground. As an individual trooper within the battlefield, you should know how to compose yourself and use your training to push against the instinct to run from blaster fire. Again, sticking with your squad is crucial, and knowing when to keep moving and when to take cover is extremely helpful in deciding whether or not you get to see another battle another day. So overall, for every corps of the Imperial Armada, warfare presents many great risks, no matter if you're in the Navy, Starfighter or Stormtrooper Corps. What's important is you know how to understand and alleviate those risks in order to win the war as a whole for the Empire. At the end of the day, war is war and it never changes. It's far more costly to replace new military personnel than to keep and preserve the ones we already have, because we really are that starved for credit. So with that, why not like, subscribe and share this video if you want to start your journey into the Empire today. And with that, long live the Empire, and may the Force be with you.